Live from Eorzea.
Limit Break. With your hosts, Nero.
Now behold the horror you have wrought.
Kahlo.
I said don't take your clothes off.
Juxtaposition.
I don't get it.
Ascalia.
Holy shit, totally forgot about him.
And Mika.
Oh my god.
LimitBreakRadio.com.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Limit Break Radio. I, of course, am one of your hosts, Aniro Grigori.
I am Juxtaposition.
Welcome back to officially the now new twice monthly Final Fantasy XIV podcast.
Holy crap. You made it happen, folks.
You made it happen. Officially, we have hit $600 a month on our Patreon page. Thank you guys so much. So impressive. We are bowled over by the amount of support that you guys have given us.
Nero literally shit a brick. It was gross.
It's still sitting in the living room. We don't really know what to do with it. It's weird.
We're going to auction it off.
Yeah, don't forget about our fundraising auction. We'll have a post about that on our website, limitbreakradio.com. Of course, joining me, I've got my co-hosts, Kyle's Rando. What's up?
Really?
How you doing?
Rando!
I've also got Nike Killbot. How you doing?
What? Is that me?
that actually sounds cool.
Yeah.
Weird. Nike Killbot. Cool.
Wow. Also to my right, we've got Jester Sexual Position. How you doing?
Whoa! Whoa!
And finally, Ascalia. What's up, man?
That's the stupidest name I've ever heard.
Oh, across the room high five. Yeah.
Oh, goodness gracious.
We have fun here. I don't know if those are tears he's choking back or if he's just trying to contain the rage.
I'm still just so happy over doing this twice a month with you guys. Can I tell you how much of a reward that is in and of itself?
More of a commitment, less of a reward. So what's up, guys? How you guys doing? We're back here for part 2. Whoa, hey. Still got the intro playing. Whoops. We're back here.
It's a lovely intro.
Yeah, I know. We don't need the music.
Back.
We don't need the music back.
Hashtag Kanye West style.
Bring the music back. Well, if you stay tuned to part 3, we are going to actually bring the music back. We are debuting a brand new segment called Limit Breaking Music, where we're going to be highlighting some of the Final Fantasy XIV's musical talents. And we haven't even mentioned this, but we're going to be premiering a never before heard Final Fantasy XIV cover. So you guys got to get super excited for
World
this.
premiere
here on Limit Break Radio.
Well, we've heard it before.
It's never
It's not never before heard.
No, it's never before. Okay, so the 5 of us have heard it. But no one else has heard it. This is not leaked. I'm positive of that.
Hasn't Samus heard it?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't think Samus heard it.
What, really? I thought
Nope.
you did. Oh.
Nope.
Okay, well, hold on. I'm going to link it.
I know.
You linked
I know.
it in our special chat.
I'm pretty sure.
It was before him.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was before we.
Can he see the
him.
outline?
No, he's not part of the host page.
Okay.
He can only just see the
Samus
chat.
has not heard it. You guys get to hear it before Samus.
Yes, it's a world premiere. It's super exciting.
Sorry, guys, I just leaked it. It's all over Facebook. It's trending. Hashtag LBR leaker.
Find it, scour the net.
LBR reeker.
So the next Power Rangers movie.
So it may feature one of the LBR chaos. So
it also may not.
No, it does.
Oh, okay.
Ruin it.
Spoiler.
It's obviously
I'm out.
not Escalia.
So
I can't handle that.
it's okay, guys. It's just the return of the bagpipes. It's fine.
Wasting my time.
So we're here for part 2 of episode number 13. This has so far been a huge episode for us. We have I almost forgot to switch over. We are broadcasting live today from the Gold Saucer.
The Manderville Gold Saucer.
In celebration of patch 2.51, we are live from the Gold Saucer. We got a pretty significant crowd hanging around us. What's up, crowd? How you guys doing?
How many of them are just people who happen to be sitting here in the Gold Saucer?
You know what? None of them.
And of course, none of them are like, NPCs.
Those
that
NPCs
walk
in the
around.
back.
Yeah, no. There's none of that.
Especially that Sabo tender. He is completely a player.
Yeah. What up?
Wow, look at all these
That's
chickens.
awesome
around here.
glamour.
Is this what is this? Like a barnyard or something?
I know, dude. What
I
is?
am
Chicken,
that
old
chicken
fat
on the
cat, and
table.
fish.
I am still deeply offended that Anira was wearing his fucking great axe through this place.
It's really rude.
This is a safety zone. You should not be wearing that great axe.
Then they should make
Take
me
it
check
off.
it at the door, and they
Hold
don't.
on. What, is Escalia wearing his polearm too?
I am.
Oh my gosh.
The heathens we have to deal with.
What were you all born in a barn? Rude.
So episode 13 obviously being a huge episode for us, unveiling our Patreon initiative, and already $600 in terms of $600 a month from you guys for
Crazy.
in terms of support. That's absolutely bananas. I'm so excited. We are now officially will be doing the show twice a month, starting episode number 14. So instead of parts 1, 2, and 3, you'll get a part 1 and 2 probably. I'm not sure exactly how we're going to do this. If maybe we should do parts 1 and 2 one week, and then like maybe 3.
We might just
and 4
have to change
another
the
week? I don't
format,
know.
kind
Yeah,
we might.
Work the
something we're gonna
format
have
a
to
bit
talk
here to get
about.
this figured out.
A serious
but the thing-
discussion.
We gotta put effort into this stuff now.
The thing
guys.
but the thing that we don't want to do is we don't want to speed up the amount of time between now and episode number 15. So maybe because we
maybe push it back.
Yeah, well, we want to be able to make sure to give people time for the art contest and the glamour contest. So we want to make sure that their submissions are in. And we've said from the beginning that the deadline is episode 15.
That's right.
And they've had a pretty reliable span of time. But now maybe we should plan.
I mean, we
at
are going to
episode-
have 12 or the next update 0.5 between now and then, so we'll have enough content to spread it out. I think
It's possible. I think maybe at episode number 15, maybe that's where our new scheduling should start.
So would you say, please look forward to it?
I would say please look forward to it.
Please look forward to it.
Please look forward to it.
Please understand.
But we can now start laying the foundation for a brand new gaming show, a general gaming show. That'll be exciting. And as Limit Break Radio will increase in frequency, this gaming show will probably happen like once a month to begin with. And if you guys like it and continue to support it, it can be a much more regular thing. But much like we do that show live, or we do this show live on Twitch, we'll also probably do that show live. And I don't know that we'd all necessarily have to be in the same room. We could actually do one of those neat gaming talk show things where everyone has a webcam pointed at their face.
that would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be really cool. So that's our plans for the next couple of months. You guys have really sped up this process. Like at the beginning of the day, this was like, we might do this in like 6, 7, 8 months, but like now we actually have to start laying groundwork, and that's because of you and your outrageous support. So thank you so much. Again, patreon.com/Limit Break Radio is the link to go and support. So we have an interesting, if a little bit of a contentious discussion.
This is illegal,
to talk about today. Is it really illegal? We'll talk about that.
I think maybe you jumped the gun on that one a little too bit.
Yeah.
You jumped the gun on being really dumb looking.
Good job.
Thank you.
Nice comeback. So there's been an application that's been floating around the FF14 community now. And actually, this website goes all the way back to FF11 and a plugin that they had developed for Windower, which is another piece of third-party software that was initially designed to let you use FF11 in windowed mode on a PC, but also came packaged with a lot of other functionality and plugins and stuff like that. There was a Guildwork plugin that was developed for that, but it is also, it's also a site that's used commonly by a lot of guilds to do guild site hosting. They've got a built-in, they've got kind of like a built-in DKP tracker and stuff like that. So Guildwork has become sort of a bit of a flashpoint in terms of the FF14 community because of the way that it interacts with hunts and the way that it interacts with the game. So we thought that, the last time that hunts were a big thing, and I know that we're just a little bit late to the table on this, and had we introduced the Patreon account, if we had introduced that a little bit earlier, maybe this could have been a more timely discussion.
Say relevant content.
Yeah. But it's Guildwork as an application. Here's basically how it functions. It runs as a desktop application and then inserts messages into your party chat window in FF14, and it does things like link locations to mobs, let you know what the Nexus hunt lights are, or the Nexus lights are, and you can even set it to tell you when certain fates pop and
when weather pops up in a zone.
When weather hits, and so the reason that I think that this is an important topic to talk about is it's basically become the buzzword in terms of like people who are out for a witch hunt. Anytime, anytime someone would early pull for like 2 weeks, everyone would be like, "Oh, you guild worker," rah, rah, rah. And it's kind of become either you use it and you accept its use, or you completely think that it's 100% cheating and that its use should be strictly it should be enforced, like its non-use should be enforced by Square-Enix. So I want to preface this discussion by saying first, guys, this is not a witch hunt. We are not here to call anyone out. We're not here to discuss our own usage or non-usage of it. We want this to be an open discussion. We're not going to ask you if you use it, and we will ask you to refrain from telling us whether or not you use the application if you call in and join in on this discussion. So we do not want to, try to call anyone out here. And, the second thing is that we don't. This isn't intended to be an advertisement or an endorsement. This has had a pretty noticeable impact if you are a participant in hunts, and so I think it's an important thing to talk about. So we don't want to get anyone in trouble. We don't want to get anyone in this room in trouble. We don't want to get anyone on the stream in trouble. And so the first thing is does Guildwork break the end user license agreement? And the short answer is yes, that it does. That they say that very clearly.
Say that part isn't necessarily much of a discussion. The EULA is a very clearly defined document.
Yes.
Based on what Guildworks does. Yes. Based on the way that it interacts with the programming. Yes, it flat out does break the end user license agreement, and they state that very plainly on their website, that it does, and that you are, there's a potential risk by using this software. And so, that's an important note to discuss when hunting, when talking about this. But is Guildwork cheating? What do you guys think? Juxta, do you think Guildwork is cheating?
Using some functions, I would say probably cheating, and then other functions that you could just do with a pen and paper, I would say not cheating. So like the Nexus Lights, the tracker, I would say that would not be cheating. But if you use it for learning when fates spawn or when hunts spawn, I would call that be cheating.
Now it is kind of important to note that some of these features you can only use with a premium account.
That's just for phone pushes.
Oh, that's just for phone pushes.
Yep, that's just to get these notifications sent to your phone.
Okay, so I mean, there's an added layer on top of that. Then is now is there a difference between paying for the service and using the free service?
The difference I see in the two is now while I'm in the bathroom, it will let me know that an S rank just spawned.
Right.
I don't really see a difference, to be honest. I mean,
they're both the same function. So.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really think that the phone pushes would make it that much worse or whatever.
You don't think so? You don't. It allows you to walk away from the screen.
I mean, but
it
if you're pooping, you're still pooping. You're not going to
AFK.
get back any faster.
Right, but how quickly that hunts are dying does it matter?
If an S-Rig spawns in West Thailand, you can guess that turd staying in my asshole.
Oh God.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm
shut it down.
Yeah, so if there's a
too late, Captain. We have a hull breach.
If you've got a little turtle head action, you just suck that bad boy back up.
Clip it off.
Oh my God! Stop.
Just grab some toilet paper. That will be your shield. And
I'm done. Headset down.
Aegis paper.
I see Juxta waddling back to his room. I'm not even gonna ask. The usual 30 minutes was 30 seconds. Something's going on.
Well, I mean, I think it should be mentioned that, I mean, back a couple of weeks ago, damn, hunts were just brutal. It was really tough to be able to make them because people were just early pulling like crazy, and you just
the only reason that's not still happening is Gold Saucer.
Yeah. Well, Gold Saucer. No, there's two. I think there's two factors.
Two factors.
And you're right, Nika. Gold Saucer is one of them, but I think the other big important factor was the
weekly quest.
Yeah, the introduction of Twine to the.
Oh
to the
God!
week.
When I read that, like, because I've been needing to do hunts so much, but combined with my slow ass computer. And the way that Guildworks has basically... There is no, somebody's early pulled anymore. That's not even a thing.
You can just assume that it's pulled.
Absolutely. Because I've been trying it and trying to get into... nobody needs to download Guildworks, right?
Right.
We had a brief discussion when this first came up, amongst the lot of us, and Aniro says that you just really need one person in your party or in your link shell to communicate this.
Yeah, to either. I mean, yeah. As long as you have one person that's getting the information from somewhere, whether it be a hunt link shell, whether it be a third-party application. I mean,
when this whole Guildwork thing started, I thought, all right, you know what? Let me try joining hunt parties. Let me try and get on this. With things being announced as soon as they pop, not just as soon as they're found.
Right.
Maybe I will have enough time to get that. No,
hey guys.
No,
someone does not appreciate poop jokes. We're down to $5.95 a month.
How does it go backwards?
I don't know how that happens.
But they're literally dying within 45 seconds of popping.
Wow.
Not like someone's gotten here. Now I'm going to wait 45 seconds. They are dying within 45 seconds, and that is ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, and again, I mean, like, I think that pushes far more people to use something like Guildwork, and I've seen a noticeable impact from Guildwork in a couple of different places. People don't report hunts in their link shells like they used to. If you want the most accurate hunt reports, join a hunt party and pray, like through Party Finder, and pray that it stays together. Because the other thing that I found is that there are tons of hunt parties that go into Party Finder and then break as soon as that mob is killed because people are getting these real-time updates all the time. And I mean, there's a lot of other questions, that are raised by, by the use of Guildwork. But I want to continue around the room. Scalia, what do you think? Is Guildwork cheating?
Doesn't this sound like a conversation we were having like 6 years ago about another certain program?
Yes. Yeah. Well, but I think the big deal here is that guild work is becoming very, very widely used.
I'm going to look at it this way. You have a clear advantage over someone not using guild work at this point. So yes, I'm going to call it cheating.
Okay, that's an interest. So, do you have a hardline stance that, like, you know, that you would report someone that you thought would be using guild work?
No. I guess I don't care that much because it doesn't affect my triple triad playing. So, if they get one
Guild
though
work
where they
now
can start seeing what my hand is with the open rule off, then I'll report them.
Okay.
Guildwork starts announcing when people get Bahamut drops from Elmer.
Kahlo, did you say overall what your view is?
Overall, I suppose if I was going to say cheating or not cheating, like draw a line, I would say cheating. But my problem with it isn't so much that. I think that it changes the nature of the game. Hunts are supposed to be about going out and finding these things. You know, I mean, it's right in the name of what they are. That's the exciting part of it. You get into a hunt party, you know, you send 2 people to this zone, 2 people to this zone, 2 people to this zone, and it is an effort.
Yeah.
You literally go out and hunt.
It's basically
it's
reverted us
completely
to camping H&Ms.
It is completely changed now. It is nothing like that anymore. It has literally changed the basic design of this event.
I agree.
And
I agree.
And I mean,
I think that's kind of a bummer.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I mean, you know, I'm sure that we're going to come to the eventual comparison of the difference between this and Windower, right?
Right.
Okay, Windower wasn't something that you needed to have. It had cool quality. It had cool quality of life. Stuff to it.
I'm gonna.
I would say Windower was needed until Square Enix made a windowed version of 11,
which didn't happen until 2008.
But it still didn't have what I think. I mean, in 11, having like just visible TP was necessary.
It was not necessary.
It was not necessary.
No, it wasn't, because a lot of times you had a macro to tell people when your TP was anyway. Because what if they're not paying attention?
There you go.
So TP plugin not necessary, and a windowed version wasn't necessary for everyone. It's absolutely cool to have, but again, I would argue that it was a quality of life thing. Not having Windower did not put you as a player at a disadvantage, and it certainly did not change the inherent design of an event.
I don't know that I totally agree with that, because once somebody had Windower, they weren't turning off functions in Windower like the TP monitor and like the macros. The macro function of Windower was its biggest advantage.
Oh no, absolutely.
Its biggest advantage over. I mean, because you had what, like 5 macro lines, 6 macro lines inside the client, and that was the biggest advantage that it would give you. And I would say that it was kind of a borderline game-breaking advantage. Where there
still knew people who didn't use, who had Windower and still didn't use it because it was so complicated.
To what degree did you use Windower?
Right.
Like, I used it literally for the windowed mode.
Right.
That was it.
Right.
I can tell you it was necessary for extra macro lines to get max DPS.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. I mean, it definitely did change the way that people played. Nika, what is your overall opinion? Cheating or not cheating?
So, I mean, in terms of the way that the game is and the game's rules and standards, I'm going to say cheating, but that brings me back to think about 11. Things like Ixion and the mobs that roam the world anyway. Rangers had wide scan.
Wide scan was something like you had to sit there and look at it and then exit out, then back in. It took work. You didn't just sit there.
I suppose, but the thing is that guild work still only it only announces it once someone in the zone has found it.
We don't know that. We actually don't know how guild work functions, and I think that this is where a lot of people kind of draw that line in the sand, because they don't know whether or not it's just a big chat monitor that's looking for hunt reposts and then sending them out to everyone on the server that the character is designated on, or does it function by using like a radar kind of
cache system. Like once it enters into the cache.
Once the mob is within the distance for it to like zone in for your character, is it then reported to the app? We simply don't know how it functions.
I was in Mordona. Someone found Correa. I was staring right at it. Someone shouted Correa position, and then I ran to it. After someone shouted, it sat there. There was 3 of us sitting there for a good 3 or 4 minutes before everyone came into the zone shouting invite.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard reports that people can find the hunt mob before it's called through the application. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it definitely can only operate on people's systems who are running the program, and it's collecting data from multiple systems and putting it into a single database, and then serving out information and messages based on that. I first of all, I have to say, it's a very inventive piece of programming. It's very clever. I mean, whoever put it together did a very nice job at putting it together and making it, unlike Windower, having a very low, barrier for entry in terms of use. It's really quite staggering, and I think that you can count that as one of the reasons that it's proliferated to the degree that it has. But I want to talk about its proliferation because I think this is the big deal here. At some point, Square-Enix didn't ban people who use Windower for one of two reasons, and I'm pretty sure that the community it's still a toss-up as of why. Either they can't tell that people are using it, or they recognize that it served a specific, unique function that their own client couldn't provide, and they kind of let it have its time before putting in their own version of windowed mode, and sort of just kind of looked away as it proliferated. And then Windower grew to a point where so many players would use it that to ban everyone for the use of this software would have taken too large of a hit on their community to be able to do it. And I'm concerned that Guildwork could turn out in the same way. That so many players, it could proliferate to such a degree, and so many players would start using it, that then Square Enix, if they thought it was against their end user license agreement, would have their hands essentially tied, or else they would be alienating large sections of their community.
I think what they need to do, or if they do take action against it, is something that let's take a look at World of Warcraft, which is huge in the add-on department. Like they have interfaces designed into the game so that people can make add-ons.
Right.
Whenever an add-on pops up that they think is too much, like I remember way back when there was an add-on where you could literally draw on your screen and everybody in your raid would see it. So you could, here's a safe zone for when this happens. This is where mages have to stand. This is where we're tanking it.
Kind of a cool idea.
Exactly. But at that point, you're taking all the mechanics away from a fight, and they said that's too much.
True.
So they implemented stuff into the game that just flat out disabled that add-on. Part of signing up, registering, or whatever, getting Guildwork to work, in order for it to work whatever the way it does, is you actually have to go into the lodestone, sign in, activate your account in the lodestone,
right,
and you put a link or you put something on there that Guildwork reads off of that to know who you are,
right, to verify.
Therefore, you are literally putting proof in Square Enix's hands. I use Guildwork. Well, first of all, they wanted to ban everybody. They know who's using it. But secondly,
hang on.
How easy would it be for them to break Guildwork?
Hang on, that's not necessarily true, because Guildwork, to use some very legitimate functions of that website, will still ask you to do the same thing. Remember, before Guildwork had this third-party application, they were used as mostly a social networking site.
On the topic of Square Enix can't ban all these people, no, they can't. But if they decide Guildwork, they don't want it to work, right? They could find a way to break that string of paragraphs.
I totally agree that that should be the first step. Is that if they don't want the software to function, that they need to find out a way to alter their software to break the functionality. And I mean, that would be a pretty clear indication.
Exactly.
We don't want people to use this.
And from there, if it continues, then they would have to start dropping the ban hammer.
Okay, I would totally. I think that would be a good way for Square Enix to resolve the issue, if they even see it as an issue.
And if they want to look at it transparently, literally just say, we're taking these steps against Guildwork. Anyone still using the software after date is subject to penalty. You've been warned.
I was going to say, they have been obviously embracing the Western culture as far as MMOs go quite a bit. The fact that all these other MMOs use add-ons and allow the community to help improve their own game could be something that maybe they're testing out. Maybe that's why they're waiting. They're seeing where this goes, how this turns out.
Yeah, no,
that's the end.
The end. End of thought. I think that's some interesting points. I think the question can Square Enix even monitor whether or not the game is running on your system or the plugin is running on your system? I think that's an important question to knowing whether or not whether or not they can actually do anything about this. Juxta, let's take a caller.
Okay, we got Castran of Odell from the Sargentana server.
What's up?
Hey, what's up?
How's it going? Thanks for calling Limit Break Radio.
Hey, thanks a lot for taking my call.
Yeah, no problem. So, what do you think of guild work, man?
I don't think guild work is really the problem, honestly. I think hunts in general is.
Okay, so you think that the event is broken?
Not necessarily broken, but I think it needs to be implemented a little differently. Because even without guild work, it's not fair to PS3 or PS4 players.
I was actually that's a great point. I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I was going to say I think the biggest barrier for entry in terms of doing hunts and getting there on time is your system specs, way more than anything.
I can attest to that.
PS3 players are screwed either way, but with guild work, then PS4 players, they don't have any way to actually use it unless they actually pay for premium and look at it on their phones. Every other part of the application, though, isn't really that game breaking. I mean, if you pay for premium, you can also chat in game off your phone, away from game or away from your computer.
Right. Yeah, that is another function of the app.
The weather thing, really, what can you use for that than just sightseeing? And the shout function is just funny, in my opinion. You can see shouts all over your server.
Can I use it to find out when I can get my RSE gear?
Wrong game, goddammit.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But hunts from the beginning have been screwed up, because as long as you have a system where somebody can get there first and pull it first, and with just an 8-man group on A's, they can kill it before anybody else is even aware of it. It happened a long time ago whenever they first brought out the blood-stained mark logs.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and it is worth mentioning now that the balance in the hunts as a system is starting to kind of swing the other way, where we're starting to see people not as there's not as big of trains even at peak hours of play. Less people are running them, and that also helps. There are people who will decide to early pull on purpose as like a troll, but mostly, if you've got a fairly decent system and the pathways. That's the other thing, is that there are certain if a mob pops close to the mist,
or if you're in what is that awful Lenosia zone. The one where you got
Morbi dry dogs.
There. It's just the worst.
Yep. Or the one Thanalan where Electrion pops and you
Horizon.
Yeah.
You go
or Sabatender too. Like all of them can pop in places where it's way quicker to go from maybe a city warp,
or a residential area,
or even sometimes from East Lenosia from
go to Costa and go south.
Yeah, from Wineport, you can. There's a. There's that little thing that'll take you right to where Vogeljaw will sometimes spawn.
Right.
So like a lot of those, if you're struggling in hunts, those are things that you can work at on your side to to get there quicker and to try to get credit. And also watch Party Finder. If you shout for an invite, don't get an invite. Make sure you check Party Finder too. That's another big one. But I think that mostly the information is traveling around to either link shells or guild work at roughly the same pace. And if you're tuned into one of them, you should get there in time. Yeah.
I've seen it usually takes about 2 minutes from a spawn point in game for the hunt to actually die. So you have a 2-minute window. I mean, and depending on free weekends or whatever, then the server lag is going to keep you from getting there.
Yeah, our problem has literally been zoning problems. Like, there are times where I mean, my husband and I will zone into a zone. I'll zone really quickly. We're on the same internet. And he'll take, I'll be all the way to the mob. It'll be at 100% when I get there, and it's 20% before he zones in. And he's just
you know what? Maybe it's not a computer problem on my end, though, because, like sometimes zoning into North Shroud, I sit in the black screen 45, 60 seconds.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Well, and some zones load harder than others too. That's if you're going into a big zone or a populated zone like Mordona
it's happened
used to
literally
be.
In any zone. It's happened in all of them for me before.
Especially if you're like behind the wave of people zoning in, because your computer's like loading all of that stuff in the loading screen.
Lame as it sounds, what are your thoughts on like certain like S rank mobs like they're unclaimable for X amount of time after they pop?
That would be an interesting way to kind of adjust that. That would be really interesting. I like that suggestion. That's a good suggestion. I think that would be a way to allow people to, group up, or it would remain invulnerable for 90 seconds. So someone could engage it, but it would still take an additional 90 seconds for damage to start being dealt. Thank you so much for the call, Castran.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. So, do you guys see it being like Windower in terms of like it being so widely used and kind of accepted by the community that it puts Square-Enix in a difficult position to take any action against it?
I'm going to say yes and no. I'm not going to say it's exactly like Windower, because I do think that there are probably a lot of people who are using it, but I think that the fact that it has literally changed the basic concept of an in-game event puts it on in a different tier to Windower.
And again, Windower, its original purpose, obviously it had the extra add-ons, which I did have a problem with, but the original purpose of Windower was to fix something that was stupid about the game.
Eloquently put.
I would say, there are certain people out there who feel like, and maybe this is different among different servers, but there are hunt link shells that keep certain people or types of people out of the hunt community. And this, I think, could be seen as an equalizing force in that.
There are things about it that when I first heard about it, I thought, this could be great. If it lets everybody know when something spawned, you can't be accused of early pulling. Like, everyone sees the message at the same time.
Right.
Start waiting.
Right.
I don't know if it's an equalizing force so much as a BFG.
Could have been, absolutely. Could have been, isn't.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's not?
Because as soon as people get there, there is no shouting anymore, right? Like, I think there's one person in my hunt link shell that I see shouting every now and then. I see you communicating shouts every now and then when you get into hunt parties.
Oh, you mean reporting? Relinking?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, I agree. It has taken the amount of relinks down in link shells a lot. We got another caller here.
Yeah, we got Satori Komiji from Sargantanis.
Hey, Satori, what's going on?
Not much. I just want to talk to you about Windower, about a few uses I use Windower.
Okay, yeah, let's hear it. Because Windower had a lot of uses. There were and it stands to mention that most people's context for Windower was the really ugly version that sort of just like it ran a different splash screen when you loaded Play Online, and you had to hit insert to get the console to come up, and it looked kind of hideous. But in its later incarnation, it actually had a really sleek UI where you could select from a bunch of different pre-made plugins, and that really opened up, in terms of the FF11 community, it really opened up the plugin uses. So there were, a lot of people, and when I think it was Windower 4 came out, a lot of people started finding some really unique uses for Windower at that point. But Satori, what did you use it for?
Well, back in Dresser Ergen, one of the probably not the most legitimate uses I used for was you remember an ISO aisle?
Yes.
And remember the lamps in the ISO aisle?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
One of the fastest ways to find the lamps was to use the windower, and it was like you hit F11 or F12, and it would turn off the walls, and you could tab and find the lamps.
Yeah.
That's a little that's a little sketchy.
Satori.
That's a little sketchy. I'm not gonna lie.
I am disappointed.
I will admit, back in the day of 11, I also turned on wireframe mode, and it was pretty sweet to look around at stuff.
I did it once, thought it was scary and creepy, never did it again.
Yeah. I was
terrified.
I was walking around Kidarva Mire just because of all those awful caves and stuff, and so that way I could see where the aggro was, but I didn't actually use it for salvage.
I mean, but it does stand to mention that Windower did have a lot of sub-legitimate uses, like the first speed hack that was, I think, ever put into 11 or ever used in 11. That was as a result of something that was done in Windower. So, it is one of those things that's like, it had plenty of legitimate uses and a lot of people who used it for totally legitimate things, but it also wasn't this like totally catalyzing force that I feel like Guildwork is, or maybe the could be, or maybe the slow acceptance of Guildwork is starting to eat away at that idea.
In the very late stages of Windower, one thing that was really cool was being able to up the resolution and the FPS.
That's true.
That was sweet. And even though it made you lag like horrible, like if you go into Dynamis, you would not be able to keep up nearly as well.
Well, it depends. It depended on your card. If you had a decent card, like
I have a decent card, and trust me, it's different.
But you know what?
It also you could also increase the draw distance too, which actually I'm going to say was necessary.
In your defense, it looked sweet as hell.
It looked sweet as hell.
Well, you didn't need Windower to bump up the resolution. That was something that you could do.
No, but you could unlock the FPS lock.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I don't think I ever did the FPS lock.
Dude, it looked like the first time I unlocked the FPS and got it up to 60, like it looked like Final Fantasy 11 2.
Wow,
it was beautiful.
Yeah, no, I definitely I bumped up the resolution on my on my FF11 game and increased the draw distance. I loved the draw distance plugin. That was one of my favorites.
YouTube it sometimes, but you will see what I mean when I say like just upping the max resolution. That didn't hurt your lag too much if you had a decent machine, but unlocking that frame rate cap, yeah, that would hurt your machine.
Gotcha. What else, Satori? You got anything else?
And they had that. You had the distance tool, the distance plugin.
Yeah.
So I was like, 25 yalms? I'll stand 25.1 yalms, and you can't hit me with your AoE, so I can still heal the tank. That was one of the ones I used.
Bards, I feel like that was necessary most of the time too, to know who you're going to hit with your songs and who you're not going to hit with your songs.
Finding that sweet spot as a ranger.
Absolutely. That was a big part to a lot of jobs in FF11. And I would say that's again
just learning your distances and being a good bard.
Oh, fuck off. That was a totally legitimate use of that system.
I feel like when a game like 11 uses algorithms like that, like you legit have to be this far away from someone, or you have to stack on as much strength for one weapon skill, and then you have to stack on dex for the other weapon skill. You need to have every piece of gear swapped out. To have an algorithm like that, you need to include something in the game that's going to cater to that, or otherwise people are going to resort to cheating. And that was 11's problem.
Well, and I would say that a certain amount of that argument can be made in terms of Guildwork, that there was there was a segment of players being kept out of the hunt system, and this kind of levels the playing field for them.
Nell says it best: practice, not tools. Get good.
You see, Nell's a practitioner of get good.
By the way, just quick shout out to Mithri, who just hosted us for 98 viewers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mithri.
Thank you.
I met Mithri doing Triple Try the other day, and we got to talking. He has a stream, does YouTube. Mentioned our show to him. Said that he would host us if he wasn't streaming, and there we go. Thank you, Mithri.
Thank you. Shout out to Mithri, twitch.tv/Mithri. Now this is what's interesting, is that completely legitimate sites that people use for hunting up and even without Guildwork, like ffxivhunts.com, seem to endorse and actually actively do endorse the use of the Guildwork app and actively contribute kill data or take data from the Guildwork app.
Really?
Does that,
Because
does that change? Does that change the nature, or does that change anyone's opinion about ffxivhunts.com?
Unless they've updated something about the hunts. When Guildwork first started getting big, I noticed that nobody was using it anymore because I had a friend who was out trying to hunt, didn't know what Guildwork was, had no idea that it existed, but she had noticed. Now it does. Okay, yeah. She had noticed that, first of all, nobody was shouting for hunts anymore. She was out looking for them the old-fashioned way, trying to use this site, but people were saying the windows were down. And she's like, I'm clearly looking at the site. It says the window is up still, and it's been up, but it's been killed, but not enough people were clicking it. Obviously, yes, now they're working with Guildwork and stuff.
So yeah, there's a big banner that has the Guildwork logo, and it says, big thanks to new FFXIV Guildwork client. If you use it, it will automatically update killed hunts for this website, and then it has a link to get it. So does that change? Does anyone not use ffxivhunt.com anymore?
I've never used that site.
Because what do you use?
Why would you not use it?
Because I just listen to my link shells and follow people. And I feel like the original, and I mean, I liked the original sense of camaraderie that the hunts brought. Like, when I first started, I had a Google Doc that people would change the times when things died.
Yeah, I remember that.
But it's essentially the same. FFXIVhunt.com is essentially the same thing.
Just streamlined.
Let me see.
It is.
I think everything has been too streamlined. I think that's the point. Or the problem is that we've gotten to too much of an automatic right here. You're not hunting together anymore. You're just waiting for a message to pop up. Then you're rushing out there, hoping to get there in time.
Yeah.
It has literally been ground down to nothing but a grind. That's literally all it is now.
Yeah.
Hunts it's not an event anymore, I feel. It's not something that you have to go out and do. It's like you're just showing up to Coil to get the drop.
Thanks so much for your call, Satori. We really appreciate it. I think that, it's becoming slowly more and more accepted by more and more people. And unless Square-Enix makes a big decision, a big sweeping decision to say either straight up, announce it, address it head on, or to hit a bunch of people with the ban hammer, which I think would be a dumb decision.
Even if this isn't considered cheating, let's say for a moment that Square Enix comes out and says, you know what, this is fine. It's not cheating, right?
Or even does nothing.
Even if this isn't considered cheating, I think it's bad for the game because what it's done to an event is stripped it down. It's not the event that it was intended to be, and I think that is inherently bad for the game.
Well, its intention was, maybe a few people will come and do this hunt. Not like they said they didn't expect the entire server to run for bee hunts.
That is also true.
They didn't intend any of this.
That's also
bad foresight on their part because they should have seen it. But.
Well, and I mean they could have hedged that a little bit by right out of the gate with that weekly, putting Twines into weekly. Into the Crystal Tower weekly, but they decided not to do that, and so it funneled fuckloads of people into hunts because it was the only way to get Twines outside of Coil. So, that being said, I think you're absolutely right, Nika, that it does fly, that in and of itself, the amount of population that was doing hunts in the first place flies in the design of the event.
But it didn't change anything about the event. You still formed groups and went out hunting for them. You still put the legwork in to get it done. Sure, early polls were annoying, but in the beginning they didn't happen as often as they do now.
Right. No, I agree.
Speaking from SE's perspective, it'd be nice if they just came out and told us one way or the other. Like, what's more of a bummer is them saying nothing at all. It's like, could we at least get what your thoughts are on it? Or
well, I
get why they don't, because once they say something, they have to.
No, but
go
you
with
realize
it.
they've said that about parsers. They've said parsers are against it, but the thing is, we don't completely disapprove, so don't talk about it. We don't care if you use it.
Right.
And this could be something that falls into that category too.
Right. Well, and it will fall into that category unless Square Enix, because it's got to come from the organization. Because we could sit here and say that it's cheating all we want. We could sit here and bitch about early pulling all we want. It's not going to change anything. Yeah, we've got people who donate money to us and listen to us. We got 230 people listening right now to us on Twitch. We've got 10,000 people who download the podcast every week. But that's not going to change anything. It's going to take Square Enix making that jump and definitively either saying or taking action And again, this is not I don't think that they should take action, but that's what it's going to take for people to stop using it.
Well, then speak to Callow's point about parsers, though. It's not... Parsers aren't really changing an event. They change the way we view DPS and whatnot and things like that, and how we measure how well DPS are doing.
Right.
But parsers existing are not altering how hunts function or altering how something else functions.
I agree that's a parser to me is more of a quality of life thing.
Right.
You know, and here's the other thing that Kahlo, you had brought up WoW and their plugins earlier, but correct me if I'm wrong. WoW has an API that
no, it's actually they have it built into the game that encourages people.
Right, it's an
API.
Yeah,
it's a language.
Yeah, exactly. So it's an API, and they can control the architecture of that. Mm-hmm. That's not what is happening here. This is like a back way in. This is essentially a hack. Is what this is. It's a hack of your own client. It's not doing anything server side,
right?
But that's essentially what is going on here. And the minute that Square-Enix releases an API, which is supposed to happen with Heavensward,
oh good,
and is supposed to happen with the new DX11 client, I think that takes the mystery out of a lot of this. Mm-hmm. Once they're making the rules on the architecture and saying this is what you can do, this is what you can't do, this is what you can monitor, this is what you can't monitor, that makes it that I think nullifies this entire discussion.
What if? Do you think it's possible that one of the reason Square-Enix is letting this go on is because with that API coming out, they're seeing where this goes.
Or they already know that this will just be perfectly doable once it launches.
Obviously, once Heavensward launched, they have their own API. I see them, closing that back door. But do you think that for them, this could be a learning process, seeing what people want, what people can do? I mean, that's the reason they're not shutting it down. It could
be, but if that's what they're doing, that's a really dangerous game for them to play because And I think this is really the big deal about Guildwork. Okay, if you decide to go and pay them money for a subscription and get their app and have notifications pushed to your phone, you have to realize you've installed software on your computer. You've installed software on your phone, and you've given them some kind of bank account or payment information. You are trusting Guildwork with a lot of your personal information.
Oh, absolutely.
You're trusting them with your Square-Enix account because you don't know what is. Oh, yeah, you don't know what's programmed into that app. Mm-hmm. That app could be sniffing the numbers that you're running on your Square-Enix token. Mm-hmm. You don't know. I don't know. You don't know, and there is no transparency beyond what the creator of this site wants to tell you. Mm-hmm. So you are putting a lot of trust in the hands of someone that you don't really know, and for me, that's a pretty big jump. That's a pretty big leap for me to make. It's going to get some people absolutely, but you got to remember that if you decide to pull the trigger, it's not a judgment, guys. I'm not judging anyone who uses Guildwork. I'm really not. I'm pretty ambivalent about it. But if that's the route that you choose to go, remember that you're giving them access to all of your account. Possibly. You don't know. You just don't know. So, yeah.
And we have another caller.
Okay.
We have Patroclus Monoteus of Gilgamesh.
What's up, Patroclus?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. So, what's your opinion about Guildwork?
Well, just to take the topic off the idea of it being cheating, because, again, that'll come sort of... I mean, we know it's cheating, but people's opinion on whether or not they find it's cheating will differ. I think the main issue lies in the fact that it is... While you can pay for a subscription and get it on your mobile, for the most part, it is a PC only... it's a PC application to get it free. So... You're saying that, hey, PC users get this application for free, get this functionality for free. Console users have to pay for it or go without it, and that creates an imbalance in between the players.
Yeah.
Whereas if all players had equal opportunity to use it, it wouldn't be such a big deal because it's like, oh, you have a problem with it, we'll just get it, use it, and you're all in a fair playing field. It instead skews the playing field and gives a single group of players access to something that another group of players just might not be able to have, and that's, I think, where the issue comes in.
We had that issue with Windowr too, though.
Yeah, no, there was because there was that discrepancy between anyone who used a PS2 and someone who used Windowr and PC and the Windowr client. But then again, its inherent function, I mean, it is called Windowr, was to use it as as a windowed program. So I mean, yeah, you don't get the benefit of all the plugins. The plugins were kind of a gray area at anyway.
I mean, I think the only real reason I needed Windowr was to have the extra macro lines for gear swap, simply because of the way they made that algorithm, where the PlayStation users wouldn't get that. Whereas Guildworks isn't something you need to maximize your DPS. It's not something you need to meet DPS checks, because we know this game's full of them. It's more of a convenience, whereas a lot of times in 11 you could argue that you needed it. This, I think, is a little bit different. So
it's still, I mean, they added the carbon twine now, which is great, but before that, you needed that to get i30 gear, right? So if you were going for that and someone else was going for that, and you had Guildwork and they didn't, you get it first because you have this app that's allowing you to track hunts quicker.
But I have to ask, is there really anyone who's serious about hunts who doesn't have at least 1 or 2 hunt link shells where someone with Guildworks instantly puts the information into the
not
link?
Not even someone with Guildwork, but just someone who's reporting.
Our benefactor, within 2 weeks of the hunt scene blowing up again, had all 130 gear. Does not use Guildworks. Does not have a hunt link shell.
Absolutely, and I think that's a point. For as much as
she's not one of the ones I'm talking about. I mean, is there someone who truly feels hindered because they don't have Guildworks and just simply cannot find a link shell with someone reporting it?
I'm sure that there are, but those people are constant victims and want to try to find every way to make themselves the victim. I mean, like, I think if your problem is that you can't get into a hunt link shell, one answer is to use Guildwork if you're comfortable going down that avenue. If you're not, get better at Coil. I don't know.
I just feel like it's not hard to shout looking for a link shell.
Or it's hard to start one, okay?
You don't even need a link shell. Party.
Let me tell you guys.
Go up a party.
A party, exactly.
Party finder hunts is the best way. You don't need a link shell, but you do need a party. You can't do this shit solo.
Absolutely. If you put up a party finder and say that your intention is to stay as a party, don't come and drop after one mob. Yeah, long time. There you go. That's really all you need to be effective at doing the event. Period. But if you can't find a hunt link shell, fucking make one. I got kind of bored with our own hunt link shell, and I thought of a really creatively named hunt link shell.
What's that name?
It's called an outdated concept. So if you want to join...
What is it?
It's an outdated concept. It's a hunt link.
Right,
But it's a hunt link shell.
So the concept is...
Hunts are outdated. That's the joke.
Oh, I see what you did.
No, hunt link shells are an outdated concept. So
you're so witty.
I named the link shell
a Nero.
I named the link shell
a Nero. I don't get to say this often, but I like the cut of your jib.
Thanks. Why don't you have a drop for that?
Did you say man crush?
Okay. That was good.
I was looking for it.
So, I just on a whim decided, hey, I'm going to start a hunt link shell, and it's like half full already, and people report in there. And
where's my invite, dick?
You got an invite, didn't you?
No.
Oh,
you invited all of us on day 1.
Yeah,
I must not have been on.
And Nero sent me a tell saying, "Hey, drop one of your hunt link shells."
I would totally drop mine.
That might have been what it was. I may have sent you an invite, but your link shells are full.
No, they're not full.
They're not.
Mine are full.
Maybe I just wasn't on, and when I was on, you never sent me an invite because you're a dick.
Can you not send invites to people who are offline? I thought you could. No. Okay.
They're timed.
Well, then that's why. Yeah, they are. Yeah, you're right.
Like everything in this game, timed.
Yeah. So next time you're on, you gotta let me know.
I'm on.
Well, you're not wrong. So, all right. Do we have any more callers here, Juxta?
Yeah.
Don't we still have one in the?
Don't you want to? Thank you, Patrick Liss.
We appreciate the call.
I also wanted to point something out that Patrick mentioned in chat earlier when we were talking about the whole, you need Windowr to be good, blah, blah, blah. Remember Avesta? Red Mage that fucking soloed all that shit.
Yeah.
Did not use Windower.
Really?
Really.
And where do you get that information from?
I don't know. Ask Patroclus.
Apparently, Vesta got good.
We need
Vesta got good.
we need independent verification.
I mean, yeah, how can you actually confirm that?
From the videos he posted?
But you can easily turn off plugins for recording videos.
Okay, so if you're not using the plugins when you make the awesome...
I forget 11's UI.
Was he not gear swapping? If he's not gear swapping,
He's gear swapping, but I think he's
is.
using like more than one macro. So
he's doing everything within the confines of Final Fantasy 11.
All right, if you say so.
That's what made a Vesta so awesome.
Yeah, thank you very much for your call, Patroclus. Good points. Who else we got here?
Oh, who do you want? We have all kinds of people in here now. They're just flooding me now.
Really?
Yeah, hold on.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Have you seen like what the chat's like? We started a freaking war.
No,
Even our link shell chat's been going.
I have 7 people wanting to talk, and I've been closing the windows. So. the windows that we've already talked to. Not like random.
Gotcha.
Like, oh, screw that guy.
Okay. All right. So let's take a couple of more calls on this, and then we're gonna have to move on to our very epic and exciting part 3, guys.
Oh, this is so great. Unlimited Hazama says, gear swapping? You mean changing your damn pants in the middle of battle? That is exactly what we mean.
That's exactly what it was. And 11 had an algorithm that required that, or otherwise you wouldn't. Thankfully, that game didn't have as many DPS checks as this one.
All right,
does.
Susie, just give me a minute. Just got to get my other boots on. Oh dear.
Like, there were some weapon skills where I'd legit change everything but my weapon.
Yeah, no, that's true. But again, yeah, you're right, Nika. That was the algorithm. That's how stats and damage were calculated, and to get the most out of your character, you had to gear swap.
That's why gear rarely went obsolete.
Yes, Sunset Night.
And
we're all on
their reason too.
Sargentanis.
People kept asking more macro spots. PS2 limitations.
Yeah.
Every time.
But didn't they add more macro lines later on? Like, Escalia, you were the only one that played this game past. Didn't they add more macro lines later on?
Yep.
How many?
Well, it wasn't that. They didn't add more macro lines necessarily, but they added item sets. So if you needed to swap a full set of gear, you could just swap. One line would say equip set number 5 or something like that.
That's cool.
So you could change your entire setup in one macro line.
That's better.
Yes. So it was much nicer.
You think they would have implemented that at the height of their playing when everyone was playing and everyone using Windows?
No, that would have been sensible.
Yeah, right. Yeah. See, you have to remember that FF11 was basically a blueprint for exactly what you don't do with
You got your sorty choppy pants and your singy song pants and your super magic kawaii spark pants.
I mean, but it was a way to keep gear relevant, whereas in this case, since we don't gear swap, we don't care about gear that
Yeah,
we've
but
used
now we also have no gear in 11, or no space in our inventory, so...
Yeah, that's true.
Speak for yourself. I have 3 completely open pages.
No, I mean in 11.
In 11.
Oh, okay.
No,
You had to
even
carry
did
around
because
12 spades.
How do you have 3 open pages in 14?
Because I clear that shit out when I get the chance. I honestly, when I go into Jux's room and I see that he has like 3 spots open, I do not
6
get
spots
it.
open.
No, I just do not get it. And all his 4 retainers are full. Like, what the fuck are you keeping around, you pack rat?
3 different three different crafting materials for 3 different craft jobs.
They got to the point in 11 where you had like 320 inventory that was accessible away from your Mog house, including one extra set that you could put gear on and swap gear out of from.
Okay, nobody cares about 11. So joining us now. Joining us on the line, we've got Saskiote, our old friend and representative of Diamond Multimedia, who all of our shiny graphics are brought to you by. Saskiote, how you doing, man?
Hey, not bad, guys. Not too bad.
Always good to hear from you.
Hey, I hear you're taking us to E3.
Hey, you know what, you guys? I own my own house. You guys can come down and crash.
That would be sweet.
Except for Jux, I can't be in the same room as him.
Yeah, so Juxa can sleep in the car.
There you
It's
go.
fine. It's got its own garage and everything. Just no indoor
Kahlo
plumbing.
has the problem with me, so Kahlo can sleep in the car. I'll sleep with anyone.
You know what? That was good.
True words.
Okay, you can sleep with my dog. She's got a nice little dog house. Actually, she has plumbing and electricity.
That's bad. That's all. That's at least as good as your house, Juxta, right?
It might be better. Plumbing.
Yeah, her water dish is never empty.
What color is the water, out of curiosity?
That is a major defining factor here.
That's also a major inside joke that we had during the break. Anyway, Saskia, how you doing, man?
Pretty good. Fighting, trying to get my Lilith rod.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, I'm on my 78th run on Sunken Temple Hard.
What?
Whoa!
It's the last thing I need, too.
Oh.
You're positive you have it on? You have the quest activated?
Yes.
Just feel like that's
brutal.
I look at it in my quest log and shake my fist every now and then.
That's brutal.
Come on, Sass, get to the important stuff. How are you doing in Triple Triad?
I was going to say, with Karn, he's not even farming cards, guys.
Yeah, come on, man.
The worst.
No, I got 60 cards already. So.
Oh,
damn.
Wow.
What?
Damn. You don't have to be doing that well.
All right, you know what? Yeah, you're fired. Get out of here. I don't like you anymore.
RNGesus favors your cards over your relic, apparently.
So, Sass, what do you think about guild work?
Well, there are pros and cons, obviously. Volkai, I have not raced my Chocobo yet.
Yeah,
after the whole cooking up my free company's Chocobo jokes kind of went out of hand.
Did you say you're a drug dealer? What?
But the whole thing with Guildworks, I mean, going back to Windower and Guildworks, I kind of see the comparisons there. The push notifications, I can kind of see how they would be useful in some cases, but not really all that much. I mean, you could be working or on the way home, stuck on the freeway or something, and get a push notification. What good does it do you there?
That's true. Although, if you're signed on and you're just, like you've got stuff that you're doing, you're cleaning your bathroom, or, I don't know, you're blowing your boyfriend, whatever it is.
Wait, why would you be cleaning your bathroom?
I don't know.
That's the one you picked to ask about?
Apparently, just has
the other one's so natural for him. I don't think that.
Good zing in there.
Oh,
Nice.
good lord.
Nika.
You douchebag.
Put one on the board for Escalia.
Yeah.
His
first one.
in over a year.
We're on the board. We're a slow start, but I think you'll find I'll do much better in Double Jeopardy.
But if you're doing something else around the house, it frees. I mean, you do have enough time to get back to your keyboard to then get to the hunt in time. So it does allow you to do stuff like around the house and not have to be at your computer. But you're right. If you get it in
doing
traffic,
that, everyone's playing Triple Triad. So.
Yeah, that's true. But you're right. If you're in traffic, it does you no good.
Yeah. Here's the other thing. When I started playing 11, I started on PS2.
Yeah.
And then I had my PS2 running, I had my laptop on, and I had maps or whatever information I needed for the game on it. Now, PS3, PS4 players can just go ahead and pull up a tablet and do the same exact thing.
Right.
And get the same exact information also. And I have 2 Huntling shells. And constantly both of them are giving out same information, sometimes different information. And from there I decide, what, am I going to join this hunt, or am I going to go for this one? Am I going to go for that one, or just keep farming or whatever?
Right. Another thing about guild work, and we didn't really talk about this a whole lot, is that it has cut down on the number of false reports by 100%. I rarely ever see false reports anymore.
Here's another one too that Azurlos mentioned. I love the chat syntax feature on guild work to block guild spam.
Oh, I didn't even realize that was even a feature. Wow.
That's a thing.
Wow.
Yeah, apparently.
I mean, not all of the features of guild work are, so...
Guild work is like the cash shop. It's a slippery slope.
Well, no, but this is why I keep drawing parallels to Windower, is that not all of Windower's functions were sketchy, but some of them legit were.
Absolutely. No, I'll
not
give you
all
that.
Not all of Guildworks functions are sketchy, but some of them are.
Sure, absolutely.
So, thank you very much for your call, Saskia. We appreciate the call.
And we'll see you at E3
again. Yeah, we'll see you at E3. We may now be able to pay for our own ticket. We may not have to.
Whoa!
If he wants to
Don't turn down free tickets, man.
Right, if someone wants to put us up, let him put us up.
We may not have to sneak a ride in your suitcase or something. But yeah, Saskia, who is a representative of Diamond Multimedia, who is responsible for providing us with the in-game graphics card that we use on our stream.
Providing us, air quotes.
Us, yes, us, Limit Break Radio as an entity. So all of this nice visual presentation that you see, that's all provided by Diamond Multimedia. And you can check them out on the web at diamondmm.com. All right, a couple more callers, and then we're running up on almost an hour and a half here on this discussion. So I think we got room for a couple of more, and then we're going to move on to part 3.
Okie doke, give me one sec. Skype's really laggy.
Seems to be a lot of dudes up in here. Maybe you could find a little bit of our female viewer base.
Okay, well, you know what? Maybe I can find some of our female viewer base who has just answered the call. Hi, Nell. How you doing?
Nell again.
I'm doing pretty good. How about you guys?
Oh, we're great. Thanks for joining us on Limit Break Radio. Nell, of course, of the Chocobo Dash podcast.
Did you come to take Scully off our hands?
Didn't we make that joke last month?
Yeah, I'm hoping if I keep on making that joke, eventually she'll take you.
Well, I might take him for a guest cameo or something.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, I thought it was garbage.
Never-ending support.
So Nell, we had you on the last time, and you were so brave to join us to break with the prevailing wisdom in our own LBR community of the the hashtag Get Good Final Coil story mode. So you were so brave in coming on and being the only person to
dissent with
the show at all. So what's your view on guild work?
I hate third-party tools with a passion.
Okay.
I absolutely hate them. Anything that basically makes the game, it takes you out of the game and makes you use external sources for information that you should be getting in game. I don't really like that. Like, the hunts are the biggest, most noticeable feature of that, with the fact that it's telling you when they pop and where they pop, and people are abusing that to holy heck because they're thinking, okay, I gotta get gear, so I gotta cheat to win. But yet these are the same people that rage and say, "Rah, Cash Shop is cheating to win because marriage is."
Wait, marriage?
What?
I don't get that.
It's because of that embrace emote. Play to win, play to hug.
We're raging, going, "Oh well, people can buy the wedding bands and then trade them for gills, so people are paying for gills, so they're cheating to win by paying through the Cash Shop." And yet these are probably the same people that are paying for the whatever the fee is for Guildworks to have it on their phone.
Well, did you consider that cheating if people decided to buy the wedding band and then sell it?
I personally did think that, not so much cheating, but it's wrong.
Unethical.
And point blank that Square said, look, don't do this. So I'm just like, okay, yeah, Square says don't do this. I was on this saying don't do this. That's not what it's there for. It's designed to be bought as a gift for your significant other, not to be bought and sold to another player.
So is it cheating? No, but you do kind of have to wash your hands afterwards.
Well, they kind of
it's kind
compare
of
that.
gross.
That's essentially RMT.
Yeah.
And they've said that it's not against their TOS, but they don't encourage it. They have said that somewhere. I read that.
Yeah, I think it was Bayokin that posted that up.
So, and that would be the thing, is that they could make it. They could clearly take action against it and make it against the TOS.
It is against the TOS. Well, the wedding stuff is not against the TOS, but they can change that. But Guildworks is against the TOS.
Yeah, absolutely.
That kind of stuff, they need to bring the banhammer down on this, because otherwise people are just going to be like, well, they're not doing anything about it, why should I care? And then it'll be like, then they need to take big action. Do you remember the salvage bannings in 11?
Yeah, but do you really put Guildwork on the same level as the salvage dupe?
It's going to only get worse.
I'm not sure if she's saying it's quite as egregious.
I think what she's saying is if they don't stop this, then when the next content comes out, who's going to stop people?
Right. I don't think it's
true. No. The answer is the API. The answer that answers that definitively is the API. Once they put the API in, they control what the architecture is. So they get to choose what is. What is acceptable and
what's
acceptable and it's not, and is
it's not going to stop people from using third-party tools. If Square says no, you can't use this on the API, they're already saying no, you can't use Guildworks, and people are still using it.
No. But with the API, they will have actual control over it. It won't just be no, don't use this. They will be able to say, boom, you can't use that.
and then also with the API, they can take the hardline stance against third-party applications that don't use the API, which clearly Guildwork would fall under.
Right.
Mm-hmm. I think as of right now, if they brought down the ban hammer on a significant part of the user population that uses Guildwork, they'd be shooting themselves in the foot.
It would be detrimental.
It would. They just hit the 4 million mark, and this game lives and dies by its reputation with the community and its reputation with the fans.
Once the API comes out, though, then you will have sanctioned third-party tools and unsanctioned third-party tools. There will be a clear stance, and they can ban people who are using the unsanctioned ones with complete justification.
Yeah, and complete impunity too. That would be. I mean, as critics, I think if Square Enix came out and issued a large ban for something like the use of Guildwork, it would take a huge chunk. Again, like we said, take a huge chunk out of the population. But B, I think we collectively, the Square Enix media community, would be up in arms because it's not. I don't think it is. I don't think you can say that Guildwork is the same thing as the salvage dupes for a couple of reasons. First, I don't know that Square Enix can monitor Guildwork's usage, and if they can't, then they can't enforce against it. And if it's a program that only runs on your system, they can't. They don't have access to the other, to see what other system, system processes you're running. I'm pretty sure that's not part of the TOS that they wrote in there. So if they don't have access to that stuff, then they don't actually have an actionable way to go, to go against it. And
there's actually a way that they can do that without breaking any TOS. All they have to do is they download the app, go, okay, this is how it works, and go, okay, if this comes up, because it's got to read or access data in some way, shape, or form.
If it's only reading and it's not sending back anything to the server, and it only works on their private server, if the only information exchange is happening on their private server, then there's really nothing that Square Enix can even track, even if they go back and reverse engineer it. See, the difference with the salvage dupes is that all happened server side. That all of those dupes happened because people were using the game functions, and then Square Enix had a log of all of those actions that people did
they were using
to make that dupe
They
happen.
were using their own servers essentially.
Because it wasn't a third-party application that was creating the dupes. It was something.
It was an in-game glitch.
Yes, exactly. So they were able to go back and did they expand the manpower to go back and go through all those logs? Yes. Did they ban all of those people? Yes, they did. Could they do that for Guildwork? I don't know if they could. But consider how many people use it and how much time it would go to reverse engineer all of that player interaction. Because anything that you do as a player, there's no way that you can tell if somebody's using Guildwork or a good hunt link shell if you're a player observing player interaction.
And from a Square Enix business point of view, it makes more sense to just wait till Heaven's Ward comes out, bring out your API, neuter Guildwork, and then go from there.
I agree. I totally agree.
As long as they actually take the goddamn stance with it and fucking stick to their guns and not just be like, oh, well, please don't do this. Don't look around the other way.
That's 90% of their statements about anything, when it came to Windower or it came to, a parser or any kind of, third-party application that wasn't really seriously game-breaking like speed hacks or radar or the salvage dupes. Then Square Enix basically has the stance of, oh, well, we don't really want you to use it, but we're not going to do anything if you do it.
With the advent of an API, though, I think that we're going to see a change in that.
I totally agree. But I also want to mention that when Guildwork talks about whether or not Guildwork breaks the EULA on their own website, one of the major arguments that they make is that things like parsers and windower have existed in the FF online community for so long, and none of their users have ever been received any kind of disciplinary action. So with that in mind, I do think that that's a pretty legitimate argument in this case. That they don't ever state that it doesn't break the EULA. It does clearly break the EULA, so at least they've got the transparency angle working for them. But to then go on and justify it by saying, well, there are all of these other tools that have been in use for years and there's been no action against them, I think that speaks volumes. And it might be a slight problem on Square Enix's end if they view these programs as a problem. If they view them as mostly innocuous and mostly harmless, then all of this discussion is for naught, because then they're just not going to do anything.
Right. If they look at this and say, I don't have a problem with these programs being used, then
none of us should either.
Right.
Yeah, they should come out and say it.
I agree.
They should say it if they do. Exactly.
Oh, well,
I agree.
Don't do this, please.
No, I totally.
They need to take a stance. They need to say what that stance is, so that way people go, "Oh, this is the stance. I better not fucking cross the line."
I totally agree, Nell. I can't agree with you more. A little bit of direction from Square Enix's part would help immensely in terms of this topic. But thank you so much for your call. We appreciate every time you come on Limit Break Radio, and we encourage everyone to check out the Chocobo Dash podcast. So shout out to Nell. Search for Chocobo Dash on YouTube and now on iTunes as well. All right.
We got time for one more caller?
We got time for one more caller. One more caller.
All right. Well,
we're all starting to sweat. Like I'm starting to notice the sheen on everyone's face.
Charlie? No. What? What's wrong? What's wrong?
One more female base here. They are grossly underrepresented. I mean, we had Nell and where else?
Well, we got a Scalia,
and we have a Scalia.
Right. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm a girl, even though I look like a tall, beefy man.
And that's the problem.
Wow. Your words.
And there's a new drop.
Your words.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Somebody's got a new intro bit. Now, joining us on the line, we've got Kyle.
Ironically, that never gets old.
Wait, why don't we have a South Park drop of that?
Oh, we should. Oh, my God.
We should.
We should.
To do drop
fantastic.
list.
Kyle, how's it going, man?
Oh, pretty good. How are you, Annie?
Not bad.
I'm having what you might call a good day.
Dude, yeah, we're having a really good day.
I bet. Congratulations on everything.
Thank
it's fantastic.
Thank you.
Very, we appreciate it. But I'm a little bit beside myself because I don't know what I'm going to do with my evening tonight since we're not raiding, man.
I know. I mean, you got Scry going off to Japan. It's just
Triple try.
Yeah, that's right. Triple try.
I was going to say, I've seen Kyle in-game in the past week more than I've ever seen him before. I'm like, does his
end, haven't been logging in
I'm like
at all.
Does his end game shell even know that he's vanished?
I think half of their end game raid group swapped servers so they could just play triple triad without being asked why they're not raiding.
Actually, we met at the Adventurers Guild in Uldan. He challenged me to a card game. How'd that work out for you, Kyle?
That worked terribly because I got shitty cards.
Was that the reason?
Okay.
Shitty cards, guys.
Was the plus rule on?
Fault, idiot. The plus rule was not on.
I'll tell you what. Whenever you want a rematch, you just let me know.
All right, let me get some actual cards first.
All right, you do that. How many cards?
Sure.
How many cards are you up to?
God, not a lot.
How many? Give us a number.
I've been working on.
None of us are at 60,
progressing gear wise. I'm at 20.
Ha! At least there, Juxie, you're beating somebody.
You're beating me, dude. I only have 6 cards.
Well, you don't care, though.
No, I don't.
Kyle and Ascalia care, so that means something.
I care immensely.
I care more about getting my Zeta weapon done than anything else. So.
Yeah, I'm with you. Kyle, I'm with you. I am
that's why you pick dungeons and trials to do that are going to give you cards.
Good point.
I've been doing it all last week.
Do you have a 5-star card yet?
Bahamut.
Nice.
Wow. Nice.
This roll's amazing, by the way.
Did you hear that I got my Onion Knight on my very first World of Darkness?
Congratulations, you lucky son of a bitch.
Yeah.
I haven't done World of Darkness yet. I could get it to you.
Go get your Onion Knight, Nika. Come on, you're not doing anything important right now.
hearts.
Go.
That's
my World of Darkness was so anticlimactic this week because I usually queue for it on DPS, although I'm going to start now with lights. I'm going to go back to queuing out on War. But I queued in progress, joined a party that was at Cloud of Darkness, did the fight, got a belt, left. That was it. That was my entire belt.
Why?
Because it was what dropped. It was the Dragoon piece that dropped, and I was just like, all right, I'll take it.
You took a belt.
See you later. I took a belt.
You took a belt.
Wow.
Why? What else was I supposed to
Can
take?
we go back to talking about Triple Triad?
It's something that you can glamour for starters.
I'm not getting any of that gear to glamour, dude. I'm glamoring away from all of that gear, except for the Dragoon body. The Dragoon
and
body
that's
was
the
pretty
problem.
Sweet. What?
That you're not getting any of that to glamour.
Because it's
and
terrible.
That's the problem.
It's terrible. So Kyle, what do you think of Guildwork, man?
Oh God, I mean, my biggest concern is, do I think it's the most terrible thing on the planet? No. Do I want to see how it works though, from a technical level. I want to see if it's reading memory. Is it just pulling chat logs? Is it transmitting to a server and bringing them back?
Does that matter for you? Does that? I mean, does how it functions, and how it pulls the data and kind of gets all that in the.
I would have more of a problem if it's doing memory reads than just relaying, but to be honest, if it's just pulling chat logs and then bringing back and forth, I really don't think it's a big deal.
Yeah, because I mean, there is like we had mentioned earlier, there is some question about how it functions, whether it just is a big chat aggregate that then kind of throws all the data together in one place and sort of collaborates data with other people who are also reporting using the app, or whether or not it's a memory read, and as soon as it loads onto your screen, it loads into the app. We don't know. We just
clearly,
don't know.
It does memory injection in the client to get it to show up in the chat log. I mean, it's doing something to the memory in the special client. So the question is, like, how deep does the rabbit hole go, in my opinion? Like, what exactly is it doing in terms of modifying the client? That's my question.
I think that's a great question, and unfortunately, we have no way of knowing without asking the guy who made it.
Well, why isn't he on here?
Oh well, I mean that would be great.
Guest host,
but yeah, no.
I could see that going very poorly.
Oh, I did reach out. I did reach out to ask if he, if he had a statement or anything, and I never received a response. The guy who runs Guildwork.
Oh,
really?
Yeah. I'm not sure that he would necessarily want me to say his name on the air, but
probably not.
I mean, he's everyone knows he's the guy who made it. Like he's the guy. He's the Guildwork guy. Yeah.
GWG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everything that brought up about Guildwork and how Square is kind of like not responded, they did say on that page, is it against the EULA? They also stated that if SE came up to them and S&D'd them, they would pull it immediately.
That's actually, that's a good point. I do. That is worth mentioning because we kind of. I guess maybe we sort of assumed at this stage in the discussion that that this might be a pariah sort of issue, or that they might be looking to break the game, and the fact that they are so transparent about the fact that it does not, it does break the EULA, and that if asked they would take it down. I think that sends some major brownie points in their direction.
Sure. I mean, it could be very simple too. It could just be like, okay, I'm going to log in. Oh, by the way, you log in, you get a message in game saying, hey, Guildwork doesn't work anymore. Please uninstall the product. Here, go to this blog post to find out more. And that's it. It'll be done.
Yeah.
It'll be that simple.
Or they can just shut it off, because clearly,
login not work. Bam.
Yeah, clearly it has to interact with some kind of server to be able to then re-report out things like hunts and light messages and fate pops and stuff like that. So it does have a server that they're running that it's got to interact with, and they could just decide to shut that down.
This is true. I mean, at that point, I agree with Kyle on this point that once the API comes out, SE's probably going to be cracking down harder in third-party apps, for sure.
Yes.
So I'm very interested to see what the API will allow us to do versus what we can't do.
Yeah, I think so too. But the other thing that comes along with that is that once we have the API, then we have to get really comfortable with the officially sanctioned third-party apps and how those are going to be, how those are going to change the community in the game.
I am most looking forward to ways to more personalize the UI, so it's not as clunky and horrible and ugly.
Fantastic,
terrible.
Well, there are a lot of UI customization options in there already.
Well, when you think about you can move it around, but then you still just have these giant things.
I don't. You know what? After what 11's AI UI was, this does not bother me in the least.
I totally agree, Nika. I'm right
totally
there with you. I am right there with you.
I guess it's different because having played WoW, the UI stuff in there and the different customizations. Like I've seen some dude who had his UI set up so that when he was fighting a monster, it looked like the HP bars for like a fighting game, like a Street Fighter or whatever. It just did all look really cool and really smooth and awesome.
I feel like any screen cap I've ever seen of WoW, though, it's very cluttered.
A lot of times it can be, yes.
I'm good with what I've got here.
I can't wait for the API to come out. I'm super excited. I'm hoping we get parsers when the API comes out, like something that someone can make.
Yeah.
That's what I'm really hyped about. Something reads in game memory and actually gives us like exact numbers.
Yeah. Because right now it's basically parsing out the damage.
It's guesstimates. Your dots are guesstimates right now. There's no hard. You can't record dots right now in parsers.
Right.
It's impossible. So we have a guess. It's an average based on if a dot crits or if it doesn't crit and how much damage it does, and that's how it kind of reads out. Hopefully, we'll have like exact answers when the API comes out.
All right. Sunset Knight in the chat. I also don't think that the API is going to change the stand on these third-party apps. The API will allow official access and new plugins and stuff, which is great, but that's not going to stop programs like Guildworks from doing things that the API won't allow. But it will allow Square-Enix to come in with that hardline stance of anything that doesn't use the API is considered not supported software, and then therefore start banning people.
Another thing you have to realize is if you have an actual sanctioned way of making apps, a lot of those people who make third-party tools won't be. They'll be using the API.
Right.
This is correct. Those that still do the third-party tools, banhammer. It'll be turned. They will actually take a stance again and actively police that.
Right.
So let's say that happens. What will happen is Guildwork will shut down their third-party app, make an API add-on for it, and just do all the yeses and nos that SEO allow them to do. Yeah. And it will still be there.
Right.
So,
right. Which I mean, I don't know. It could go either way.
Totally.
Yeah.
I didn't know about the API thing, so I'm excited about that now.
Thank you. Thank you for the call, Kyle.
Damn, that was annoying.
All right. That is going to take care of it for part 2 here. A really interesting discussion, guys. I think that this was a really good discussion. I'm really happy that we had so many callers and that the chat was so active and interested in the discussion. Thank you, guys. Thank you for contributing to this. And again, this segment does not come with an endorsement of Guildwork in any shape or form. It is a thing that exists, and people are going to use it whether or not we endorse it or not. But we do not endorse the site or its use. However, we also don't think that it's worth getting in anybody's grill about. If somebody's early pulling, they're early pulling whether they've got Guildwork or a hunt link shell. So keep that in mind when you're getting frustrated that you didn't make that S rank mod. Okay. That's going to do it for part 2. Coming up on part 3, guys, we've got a massive part 3. And
part 3 is my favorite part.
And honestly, usually part 3 is where we just read your emails and it sort of peters out. But we've got some really cool stuff that's happening on part 3.
Hashtag part 3 got good.
We're going to be counting down the top 14 worst Final Fantasy 14 players of all time. And believe me, you're not going to want to miss this.
I can't believe
idiot things because they're idiots.
I can't believe number 6.
Number 6 is fun.
That's the best one.
We've also got a brand new segment called Limit Breaking Music, where we're going to take a look at some of the Final Fantasy XIV community's musical talents, as well as debuting a brand new track never before heard anywhere on the internet. So you'll definitely want to stick around for that.
Bagpipes remastered.
And we've, of course, got your emails. That'll be coming up all here on part 3.
Which
and
BTW,
we might take
this time.
We might take a few calls. I don't know. know. Wait, what was that? What?
I said great emails. I mean, emails are always good.
No,
but I'm especially looking forward to these emails.
Yeah, we've got great emails this week, guys. So thank you for all of your emails. If you want to email the show, that's hosts@limitbreakradio.com. Thank you guys for all of your support on Patreon and just, in terms of listening to the show. It's really exciting. If you'd like to help support the show, head on over to patreon.com/limitbreakradio. We are officially at $630 per month, which means that we are now starting at episode number 15. We are going to start doing this show twice a month, so you can look forward to Limit Break Radio much more regularly, and and if you guys want to make it a weekly thing, just got to push it a little bit farther. We got to get to that $900 a month, and then LBR goes weekly, and we start looking at expanding to a brand new general gaming show. We think that if you listen to Limit Break Radio and you like what we do for Final Fantasy 14, there's a good chance that you'll like what we do if we talk about video games as a whole. So we want to try to expand our audience. We think what we do is really good, and could find more audience. If we talk about something that's not so exclusive like Final Fantasy 14. But we are committed to continuing to cover Final Fantasy 14 with Limit Break Radio. So again, head on over to our Patreon account. That's patreon.com/limitbreakradio, and give a little bit of money if you can. We definitely would appreciate it. But thank you guys for showing out in force. This is amazing. We've got a lot of live listeners right now on Twitch. So thank you guys for listening live. Remember, part 3 is coming up. We're going to take a short break, and then we're going to come back for part 3 and do all that fun stuff that we talked to you about. If you're listening on the podcast, you've got 1 week until all of this fun shit goes down, and that's at our website, limitbreakradio.com. Like us on Facebook. That's facebook.com/limitbreakradio. We've got a lot of cool and exciting things going down on Facebook. We've just started now, we've got an entire different social media strategy for the content that we post. So we're hoping that the content that we post is going to be better. So head on over to facebook.com/limitbreakradio and give us a like. Also at Limit Break Radio on Twitter, and you can find us on Google+. Just search Limit Break Radio. So that's going to do it for part 2 here today on Limit Break Radio. Once again, I want to thank everyone for joining us, and especially my co-hosts, these guys.
What was that? The people. Did you forget our names too?
Kalo Landis, Juxtaposition, Escalia Rayumasa, Nika Kayanian, and I am Aniro Grigori.
I didn't know what you're talking about.
I don't either. That's it. I'm Aniro. Keep listening. Limit Break Radio is a production of LimitBreakRadio.com and Bender Media Productions. Final Fantasy XIV is a trademark of Square-Enix. Opening music in this episode from Daniel Lambie. Listen to Man with the Machine Gun and other great tracks at Facebook.com/Daniel Lambie Metal Gamer. Closing music in this episode provided by Husky by the Geek. Listen to this and other great Final Fantasy XIV and video game rock covers and original music at Facebook.com/Husky by the Geek. In-game graphics for Limit Break Radio's Twitch stream are provided by Diamond Multimedia. Check out their line of AMD graphics cards and other hardware at diamondmm.com. Limit Break Radio and its hosts are solely responsible for its content.